What it do, y'all? What's going on with it? Just another episode of the Frank Knight Show, starring me, your man, Jeremie English, aka Frank Knight. You know how we do the show. Uh, Let me get a couple, things out the way. Excuse me for all that, but yeah, let me get a couple things out the way. Shout out to my man, Trey Hearn Cruz. Always catch my man show on Sundays, 8 p.m. Go ahead and check out my show, every Tuesday, 8:30 p.m., Frank Knight. And make sure y'all stay in tune to Black Watch TV. Right now, Black Watch is gonna be one of the hottest, if not the hottest, new black media platforms in the country. And we're really trying to make this a base for not only black news, but black entertainment. So stay tuned to Black Watch TV because it's really going to get informative. I know the entertainment situation is really going to start to pop off too as well. I mean, I know you're already catching the great movies and the great commentary that's already on, So just keep tuning in and tell your friends and your family about us because we coming. Okay, with that being said, on tonight's episode, I got a couple things I'm working on tonight. So bear with me. I got a couple of conversations that have kind of took place within the community, and I kind of want to tie this stuff together because it actually does tie itself together. And that's why I want to kind of, what I want to call tonight's show is basically how the clergy and how the politicians themselves come together and in some sort of fashion, they are some of the reasons why the Pacific lineage base of American descendants of chattel slavery, foundation of Black Americans, that Pacific lineage base, some of the clergy and politicians within our society have been a part of, getting in front of, and trying to stay in front of our empowerment, and how we really need to understand why there is a coded agenda for us to be disciplined on how we use our votes and who we call leaders within our community, whether they be a part of the clergy, whether they be community activists, whether they be politicians. We better be very clear who is speaking for our lineage base, because our lineage base has a culture that is being stolen and ripped from us country nationwide. And at this point, reparations, lineage-based reparations, is the most important thing for American descendants of chattel slavery, foundation of Black Americans. Let's get into it tonight. Shout out to my man Al Flowers. I want to start out by saying fair use, fair use, fair use. Shout out to my man Al Flowers. He did an interview today with former Representative Jeff Hayden, and we had a caller call up. Al takes on, on-air callers during his show, and one of his callers called up and had an excellent commentary for Jeff Hayden, specifically about the lineage base. And I kind of want to go through that conversation real fast. And then I want to kind of step into, after that, how our clergy folks tie in to the same conversation. So let's get into this. And again, I just want to say fair use, fair use, fair use. Shout out to Al Flowers for allowing regular folks to call in while he's doing his radio broadcast. Not a lot of people can take live callers on their radio broadcast and kind of dissect what those live callers are going to say, do. You got trolls out here all over the place in society. So shout out to him. I don't take live calls right now. Not on my live broadcast, not yet. It might happen soon. I might be down for that. Some people do, some people don't. But for me, my broadcast for right now is just about me, my commentary straight up. I'm giving you straight up raw commentary, straight from somebody who is well educated within the reparations agenda, but who stays on code and who's from the streets. I love giving out a street perspective because my brothers on the streets, they can understand exactly what I'm saying. I'm not trying to be over educated. I'm not overly educated, so I don't come off that way. But again, when it comes down to the agenda, it's about staying on code. And that's what I do best. So, yeah, let's go ahead and get into it. Again, like I said, shout out to Al. And him and Senator Hayden were talking about black issues within black society. So you had an on-air caller call in, and it kind of ties into what I'm talking about today because you know me with this reparations agenda. I think it was a reparations conversation. So let's see how it goes. I'm going to play what I'm going to do first is I'm going to play the caller and let him go ahead and explain why he's calling in. And then I'm going to talk. Then what I'm going to go through is I'm going to go through what the caller kind of basically broke down a little bit. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to kind of take you a step. I'm going to walk through some of former Representative Hayden's commentary after the caller called in. I'm going to walk through some of the stuff he said afterwards because it needs to be walked back a little bit because some of the commentary that he gave after that caller called in needs to be called into question. So let's do this. Okay, so and I didn't want to stop him, but I have to real quick just to kind of elaborate what he's saying. So what he's telling former Representative Hayden is, look, when it comes down to it, before the uprisings and before the tragic death of George Floyd, there was a grassroots swelling of black people. And there was, maybe a couple organizations out here. I mean, one I can probably shout out right now is probably Black Lives Matter Minnesota. Really, I can't really name nobody else right now. But, and shout out to them, for, some of the outstanding work I've seen them doing before the George Floyd uprising and, educating black folks about what reparations is and why it's a needed agenda that needs to come first within Black society, within our culture group, our lineage base, because it was a key piece in our survival. Because when you look at our culture and our lineage base, we are being targeted for extinction. We're being extinct. So, just from the perspective of the grassroots was already working on an economic agenda specifically for a lineage base. And what this dude is saying is hey, look, we had something going on, but for some reason, it wasn't being reciprocated right back to us. But let me see what let me let him go ahead and finish. Okay, so what he's saying is this. Okay, so after the George Floyd uprising, it sounds like what the feds did with the feds pumped in a lot of money into the state. And the state started pumping money into these organizations based off of some of the uprisings aftermath. And it sounds like that grassroots swelling of people and organizations that help those grassroots people organize. It sounds like they didn't get any of that money. How could they not get none of the money? They was the ones that started everything. Who got the money? I mean, when you talk about trying to get in front of regular Black people who are trying to do something for regular Black people, I don't know how clearer you could be when it comes down to doing some crazy stuff like that. And we have Democrats in office. Let's be clear. They own the House, the Senate, and the governor's office. But yet and still, I just heard this caller talk about a grass swelling of people, along with the allied help of organizations. They got this agenda moving, but they didn't get paid. Man, man, I want to hear this guy's rebuttal about why organizations who didn't have anything to do with that uprising's groundswell for reparations. And I didn't even hear this dude use the term reparations when he talked. He didn't even use the word. I just want to hear what Senator Hayden really has to say to this outstanding commentary real quick. Hold on. I'm not gonna let Al get past with that. Al ain't gonna get past with that. You know, um, like I said, shout out to Al. But no, we're not gonna play this game where we're gonna softball former politicians who were in office, who basically I don't know the legislation that Representative Hayden, I don't know the bill that he passed specifically for American descendants to chattel slavery. I don't know the bill he passed specifically for foundational Black Americans. So if he didn't get any legislation passed specifically from, I'm assuming, a lineage base that he's from, I don't consider Representative, Hayden. I don't consider him an immigrant until I check out his background. But I'm assuming he's part of the lineage base. But his years in office as a politician, what did he do? So I'm not going to let you, Al, try to let this man off easy when it was just clearly asked to him why organizations who had nothing to do with the uprising got money off of the backs of grassroots people who came with the language that got the money. Let me say that again. Let me say that one more time. The organizations, the grassroots people, the regular Black people, the lineage-based Black people who made all the noise, who stayed on in the community for hours, years at a time, screaming about what an economic base looks like, talking about generational wealth. I mean, using the terms within the reparational realm, using them in the right realm, not for these other organizations, not for a background program that they're trying to fund. No, they was using that to get Black people direct cash payments. Now, they didn't get funded, but other organizations who used their language did get funded. Come on, man. Al, I'm not going to let you off the hook, man. Let's let this brother answer this question like a man. He was a politician, right? He should be able to answer that question. I don't need your commentary after somebody calls. Let that man answer this question. Senator Champion, how you and Senator Champion thought about it. I got another television show coming up, and it's going to have to do with Senator Bobby Champion. But I'm going to let that go for another day. But I just wanted to kind of let you know, and I wanted you to hear for yourself how all these politicians stay tied together. Whether they brother and sister from another mother or whatever you want to call it. These politicians stay tied together. He just told you that by telling you, well, him and Senator Champion got some stuff together. He still ain't answered the caller's question, though. But that's for another conversation, that Bobby Champion thing. But I just wanted, I wanted you to kind of hear how this brother ain't even in office anymore. But he stays in tune with the powers that be. Didn't I just say clearly that you had a grassroots swelling of people? This caller said there was a grassroots swelling of people who said those same organizations that Jeff is going to talk about did nothing for people for years. He named a few of them. The NAACP, whoever else he named. I know he named the NAACP, but he named a couple of them. I know he didn't want to. But the fact of the matter is you have to put these organizations out here. Congressional Black Caucus. You have to put these organizations that say they're representing us out here, because you want these people to be clear in their rebuttal and answer to why they haven't did anything for us. And what he's telling you is we haven't pumped enough money into them. How much money do they need? How much money do they need at this point to really specifically do something for us? Because they have had money for years. And he's telling you right there, oh, me and Senator Champion believe we got to give these organizations more money. The same money that the caller just told you has did nothing for Black people for years, and that's why there's a grassroots swelling for reparations. But he didn't even say reparations. He's just said there's a grassroots swelling for direct payments. Just give us the money. Forget your organizations. Just deliver us the money. And you talking about, oh, me and Senator Champion, we're talking about giving those organizations more money. No, we're not going to play this game right now. I'm going to walk you through this a little bit, because some of it needs to be walked through. When you're talking about that, what are you talking about? Because when you're saying taking away disparities for who? Reduce disparities for who? When you've pumped money into organizations that have did nothing for Black people specifically, and they are titled, they are named. Some of these organizations have mission statements that are targeted with language that says they are supposed to work on behalf of Black folks. And they've never did that. So when you're talking about pumping more money into organizations that have never did that for us, how is that going to reduce any disparities, cuz? Because last time I checked, pumping money into a situation that isn't going to help me isn't going to reduce any disparity on my side of town. It's going to truly hurt me the same way it has been hurting me. I mean, you're not going to talk to me with these big words and think that I don't understand what you're saying. because I'm from the streets. This is street talk at this point.